Hello and welcome to another episode of Andy's Shed Live, this time for Sunday the 3rd of May 2020. Hello there and welcome to the show, and yeah, it's May already. Where did April go? I've got absolutely no idea, but it's now May, so here we are for episode 14 of Series 7. Can you believe that we've been going for 7 series, and can you believe we've done 14 episodes in this one? It only feels like yesterday. And today we're going to be continuing with some of the stuff from last week. It's a short show this week, so I've got quite a lot to do tonight, but I wanted to update you on some of the things that we were up to last week, mainly trying to colour restore that ABS plastic telephone case. But before we get on with that, just to tell you once again, as always, that if you want to get in touch with us here at the show, you can do. The way to get in touch with us is by going onto the website and having a look at the contact us form that's on there. So get to the website at andyshed.callpress.net. That's andyshed.callpress.net on the website there. And I've got to say hi to Christopher 2000 and one or two other people who are watching us already this evening. Hello everybody, and yeah, I hope you've had a good week out there. Now, oh, I've not done the Patreon thing as well. I always forget this, but I'm going to stick it in anyway. If you fancy supporting us on Patreon for just the equivalent of $1 a month, go here, patreon.com/AndyShed. There, done it now. Right, one or two things to tell you about tonight, and one or two things to sort of update you on. You can probably hear humming in the background. That is because I have finally got the Rivendell radio automation system running. Software that has been said in the past it's about as user-friendly as a chainsaw. It is actually working on this old computer over here now. I can turn it around there and you can see it. You can see the software running on there. It just makes the colour balance on the camera go a bit funny because it's looking at the computer screen. But yeah, the Rivendell radio automation is now working on that computer there, and we're just trying it out. What's happening is I'm involved in the setting up of a new radio station very near to me in a little village called Cresswell, and it's going to be their very own radio station. It's going to be internet broadcast initially, but may go to FM eventually, who knows. If you want to check it out, it's a team of volunteers who are setting it up. If you want to check it out, go and see their website. It's at Crags Radio, Crags with one G in it, cragsradio.co.uk, if you want to go and see it. But here's the automation system for the radio station that we're just testing, and it's actually running songs out at the minute. It's at the minute it's playing I Will Make You Cry by Nelly Furtado. And then it's going to play Drop Dead Beautiful by Britney Spears. Then it's going to play Making Whoopee by Dr. John, Stardust by Nat King Cole, and In the Wee Small Hours of the Morning by Carly Simon. And then This Is Crazy Now by Vonda Shepherd. Who remembers Vonda Shepherd? Do you remember a TV show called Ally McBeal? If not, ask your mum. Well, Vonda Shepherd was the girl who played the piano in the bar in Ally McBeal. And they're going to play Hurt by Louise. So that's all playing out, so we just tested it. I can't obviously play you the music, so I'll get a strikey thing on YouTube, and they're a bit touchy about things like that. But it's working, and I'll go back to being a normal colour when the camera's not pointing at the screen. Well, as normal a colour as I ever get to. I've got to say hello to Frank. Evening, Frank. How are you? He's there in the chat, as well as Chris. Right, now you probably are wondering what happened to that telephone from last week that we're having all that trouble with. You'll remember that I had what was allegedly a Concord Blue 746 phone from the GPO here in the UK, and it had got some kind of weird white bloom on the case. And we tried all the normal tricks that I normally do with discoloured cases to do chemical sanding. We tried acetone and a mix of acetone and water, and we tried T-cut, which is an abrasive that you normally use on car paintwork to restore car paintwork. None of it seemed to work. The bloom seemed to keep coming back. And I can normally colour restore phones using that method. If your phone has gone discoloured through light, because ABS plastic goes yellow, so add yellow to whatever colour the plastic is supposed to be, and that then is the colour it becomes. And I can normally sort that problem with acetone, generally, by sort of taking off the surface of the plastic with acetone, what they call chemical sanding. Well, it didn't work with this last week. So during the week this week, because I had a few spare minutes, I actually tried properly sanding it and then putting a bit of acetone on it, just to sort of try and take some of the sanded out marks out of it where I kind of scratched it with a sandpaper. And this is the result. As you will see, most of the white bloom from last week has gone. There's still little bits of it here and there, but that's because I've not polished it up fully and entirely. But there it is. It looks a damn sight better than it looked last week. It really does. If I can get it in front of the camera there you go. It's a lot better than it was last week. There's still a few little bits and pieces here and there that I need to get at, but what I did was I actually sanded it with sandpaper, with a fairly fine sandpaper. Did it dry, so then I brushed off all the stuff off the surface. Just brushed it off after I'd sanded it, and then because there were sanding marks in it, then I rubbed it over with acetone on a clean rag. And this is the kind of finish that you get. I haven't rubbed that corner there, that's still got the sanding marks in. I haven't touched that with the acetone because I've rubbed that down again with sandpaper, because I rebuilt that corner there. There was a big chunk missing out of that corner. So what I did, I used my normal technique for this of putting some of the plastic, because I'd got some scrap ABS plastic, this exact same colour from an old broken phone case. So I put that scrap plastic in a glass jar with a bit of acetone, put the lid on, and then left it for a few hours, and eventually that plastic turns to mush basically in the jar. And if you don't put too much acetone in, it stays fairly like putty almost, or like plasticine. If you put a lot of acetone in, it goes like almost like a liquid. In fact, it does go like a liquid. But if you don't put too much acetone in, you can make it like putty, like plasticine. If you do put too much in, then the way to do it then is just take the lid off the jar, let some of the acetone evaporate, and eventually it will start to set. And when it gets to that putty-like stage, then you can do things like that repair on the corner. Now I have sanded this down a bit on the corner. I have sanded it down that a little bit there, and you'll see if I show you the inside of it, perhaps you'll see what I've done a bit better. But I've sanded it a bit, and what it will need doing, it will need just a little bit more putting on there, because as I'm looking at it, it's a bit, there's a bit of a dent in it still, just there. If you kind of look at it from what angle's best to look and see the dent, can you kind of see a dent there still in it? So I need to put a little bit more in the bottom just here. But there was a big, great big chunk out of that corner. If I get it up under that camera, and if I can refocus the camera, you'll see better what I did. Right, I never quite know which way to move this when I'm on this camera, but can you see what I did there? And you can see right on the corner there. I just need to put a little bit more in the middle just to make it a rounded corner. But the idea, as you'll see, is there. And that should go pretty much invisible when I sort it out. It should, he says, go almost invisible. You know, you'd be hard pushed to know that there was ever a big chunk out of that corner. So that's what I've been up to. Frank says, yeah, it looks much better. So fine sanding gets rid of it. What polish would you recommend for polishing scratches out? I've tried Brasso, but don't think it does much. Greygate polish is good, but it's very expensive. Yeah, Greygate polish is good. That's what they recommend. It is mega expensive. Now Brasso used to work for polishing out scratches. Brasso and very, very fine wire wool is how they used to polish things. They call 00 or 000 wire wool. But I'm suspicious that Brasso has changed its formula and is not abrasive anymore. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm suspicious that Brasso is not abrasive anymore. I certainly remember when I was at school, in the woodwork class at school, one of the things that we had to make as a project was a keyring, and we made it out of perspex. I know why perspex in a woodwork class. I've wondered this for years, but we did anyway. And I do certainly remember polishing that with Brasso, and it did polish the scratches out. Now the thing now is, like you say, Brasso doesn't seem to do much anymore. It does a little bit, but not much, not enough to get the scratches out. If they're very fine scratches, it might fetch them out. But I have certainly, after I'd sanded this and it came out like that bit on the corner there, wrong camera, like that bit on the corner there, I certainly, after that, then I did put some Brasso on, and it did help on this side here. So it does a little bit of something, but I don't think it's as abrasive as it used to be, if indeed it's abrasive at all these days. So it certainly doesn't do what it used to do, Brasso. But I use T-cut, which is a very similar formula to the old Brasso, and it's just very slightly abrasive. They use T-cut normally for an old car that has got faded paint, and the idea is it takes a micro layer off the top of the paint to expose the proper colour below, but without scratching it. So you're trying to scratch a layer off without scratching the layer that's below. So it's a very fine abrasive. So yeah, I didn't use Brasso on this, did I? Did I just say I did use Brasso? And I didn't, of course. It was T-cut that I used, which to me is a similar thing. So try T-cut, Frank. That's the one to have a go at, because I think you'll find T-cut might work on something like this, even if Brasso doesn't, because I am a bit suspicious that Brasso have changed the formula. And now of course you get Brasso in a tin on like wadding, like what we used to call Duraglit, and obviously that's not abrasive at all, I don't think, in that. So you know, T-cut is the thing, I think, rather than Brasso. Although they look the same, I don't think they are these days. I think that's the I think that is the key to it. Try T-cut instead of Brasso. So yeah, so that's as far as we've got basically with this. We've sanded it down. We've got a lot of the the white bloom off. As you're all saying, it looks better now than it did. It's still nowhere near perfect, but I'll have another tinker with it this coming week, and we'll see where we go from there. So that's that. That's still ongoing at the moment. Right, what else have we got on at the minute? Talking of telephones, I've got something else to rebuild. I have, I'll find it down here. I've got a bag of bits. Yeah, I've got a bag of bits, because that is part of it. I've got a handset, because that's also part of it. People are thinking now, oh, that's an old handset, this is going to be an interesting phone. I've got another bit of wire. I've got a dial. And I've got a case. Yes, it's a pyramid, or what they would call, let me get it right now, a 232L. So it should have a lettered dial, which indeed it has. So this is the 232, what they later call a pyramid phone. But we have got a little problem with this, because the 232, it needs a thing on here to sort of, that your receiver goes into, that it sits on, and in my case it's broke at this side, look. So I need to mend that. Now I don't know what's happened to this. It looks like it's all melted or something on the top, and that's quite clever, because I didn't think you could melt Bakelite, and I thought this was Bakelite, but it looks like it's melted on the top. Can you see that? So I need to do something with this, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it. Actually, it just bent, that does, doesn't it? It looks sort of droopy here. Shouldn't that be straight? So I need to do something with that, obviously rebuild this end of it. So I've got to do something with that. But this case of this phone, if I can show you this, was actually smashed to smithereens, and we've rebuilt it. This. And you have to look very closely, but if you do look very closely, you might just see the cracks. Can you see those? Don't know if you can see them or not. Can you see the crack? Where is it? Down there. But it's almost, in most lights, almost invisible. And we're going to polish this, and we're going to try and do something to try and make that crack disappear, because, you know, these are quite expensive to get now, these phones. I got a couple of them last year. I went to sunny Hunstanton to collect them, and I got two of those, and I got a little manual switchboard thing as well, from the same place. So the other phone is working and in one piece. This one though didn't work, and I think the reason it didn't work was all the contacts in it and that furred up. So I need to clean all these bits that are in this bag, here, because all the contacts on the parts and that are furred up. So what I am planning to do, I think I've just found another part. What I'm planning to do is clean all the bits up and then put them all together. Now here you see, this is the thing the receiver sits in, and look at the state of it. It looks like it's all been glued together or something. So I've got no idea what's happened to that on the inside of there. Or is it that it has... Is it that it's not Bakelite, that bit, and something weird has happened to it? It's done some weird aging thing, and something weird has happened to the plastic, because that bit of it is not Bakelite, it's some other. Because there were some other old plastics that used to do strange things. Chris says he's got the GPO 232CB well telephone with the bell set. So is the bell set underneath it then, Chris? Is it what they now call a king pyramid? These are modern names, by the way. They never used to call them pyramids and king pyramids at the time, but people call them that now. But what's that like on yours then, Chris? Is that has that bit gone weird on yours as well? Because again, it looks bent. That you see across here, it looks bent. So is that not Bakelite, that bit? The case is certainly Bakelite, but is that bit some other form of early plastic that deteriorates with age? Because that's gone really strange, and it's almost got like, on the surface of it, I've put it under this other camera so you can see it, it's almost got like crystals on the surface of it. Can you see that? You know, it's got like sparkly crystals on the surface of it. So what has happened to that? I have absolutely no idea. But if anybody knows anything about these, because I'm not really an expert on the 232s, if anybody knows anything about these, if certain bits of them do sort of degrade with age, yeah, please get in touch. Get on that on the old website there, andyshed.coldpress.net, and you'll find a contact us form. Drop me an email via the contact us form and let me know. But in this bag, I've just realised I've got another one of these, and this is a good one. Now that one, look, is perfect in comparison to that one. You're saying that, and that, I reckon that's Bakelite, that. So maybe some were Bakelite and some weren't. But it's got, under here, you can see under here, there's a little mark on it in a circle. And if I get it in the right light so I can see it, H/B something, I think. Maybe if I get it in front of this magic camera, I'll be able to... Oh, hang on now. Let me get the right camera. That's the one. Now, if I get it in front of that magic camera, you'll probably be able to read it before I can. My eyesight is not what it used to be. Now, can you read that? H/B littered. H/B limited. Yeah. Well, I was expecting that to have a date code or something on it. Is there anything on the other end? Oh, there's a 2 there, an upside down 2. Can you see that? There's 2 on there, and then on this end it's got this HB limited. So Frank says, how old are those telephones? The 232s, Frank. Oh, hang on. I've got to sort my cameras out again. The 232s, like this one, are, I believe, 1920s-ish, but they were certainly still around, you know, into the 60s, because the GPO didn't, they didn't sort of throw anything away if they could get away with it. You were renting telephones, remember, so because you were renting them, the idea was that they kept the equipment going as long as possible, because the longer they could keep the old equipment going, the more profit they were making. So that was the idea behind it. So they were certainly around in the 60s, and I've got another one of these, which is sat on top of a bell set. And I think I got the bell set from the same place, but it wasn't attached, if I remember right. And the bell set was refurbished as a GPO used to do. It was factory refurbished in, I think it's 1973. So they were still sending out those Bakelite bell sets that these phones sat on top of, or you could have the bell set separately on the wall. They were still sending them out apparently in 1973. Yeah. So yes, that's interesting. And these things here are all the little nuts and washers and things out of it. But the problem is, you can see they are covering like white powder, and truly white powder again, covered in verdigris. So what I'm going to try doing, I think, to get this white powder off, I think I'm going to get some WD-40 in a little jar or something, you know, squirt it into a jar so it fills the jar up, and then just dunk these in the WD-40 and slosh them about. They put them in a jar with a lid on, with some WD-40 in, and then just shake it up, and hopefully that will clean these up and make them electrically conductive again, because we want these to be electrically conductive because the older terminals and things on inside the phone. So hopefully it'll sort all of that out. So I'm glad I found one of those though, because I thought I was going to have to mend that other one. So the question now is, where did that one come from? Alright. So yeah, I'll put all these bits back in the bag for now. And this bit is the thing that plunger thing goes into in the phone, of course. That plunger thing goes in there like that. And there's a spring that goes in there and things, so it comes back up as well. So I've totally dismantled this phone. I totally dismantled it a while ago, a few months ago. It's now on my list of things to do to put it back together again. So that's that one. So yeah, probably getting on. You don't think of it, but that phone is now probably getting on for 100 years old. That's scary, isn't it? Yeah. Of course, if you want to see a really old one, you want to see the one on the windowsill here, which I will get in a moment. Just let me put some of this back. Alright. I'm going to put this back where it was. The problem with doing this, I'm in a very small room here, and the old braided cable, of course, that it's all seems to have come apart. So I think we're going to have some new handset cords and things on it. But you can still get that braided wire. But the handset has actually got a black one on, which I'm not sure if that's right. I think that might be a replacement, the black one. It should have a brown one, I would have thought. It tended to have brown ones. But yeah, has this handset got a date on it? Yeah, the handset is 1941 on this one. But these handsets were used on the 300 series later as well as the 200 series, you see. So these continued in production. Another really old one, if you want to see another really old one, I've shown this before, is this. This is a Tele 150, I'm wanting to say. Is it a 150? Yeah, 150. It was a Tele number 1. Originally. Let's stick it under a camera. It was a Tele number 1. I'll move that. That's a red herring now. Yeah, it was a Tele number 1. But again, it went back to the factory and got refurbished into a Tele 150. 150s were a thing of the sort of, I'm wanting to say 1930s, but I feel they should have been earlier than that. I feel they should be 1920s, but I wanted to say 30s. For the Tele 150. Sorry, I'm just dropping things. So yeah, so it went back to the factory, was refurbished into a Tele 150 from a Tele number 1. But then it had another turn in its life, because it then became a standard lamp. Yeah, I'm not kidding. It became a standard lamp. Which is why this has got no codes on it now, because somebody used it as a standard lamp, and what they did, they drilled a hole in the top here, put a brass tube on with a lamp fitting on the end, and scarily they put a 240 volt wire into the bottom through there, which is where your cord would normally go. It went up inside here, and then it joined to the original telephone wiring, yeah, and the original switch inside, so that when you put the weighty earpiece on there, it makes that switch work. So there was 240 volts going through that switch inside here, and out of the two what seemed to be original telephone wires that they'd used, that went up, these tiny weedy little wires that had got 240 volts going through them, up to this blooming lamp, right? So if ever you see one of these that's been converted to a lamp, don't plug it in as a lamp, because they used to do them a lot, and this is the only one that I've actually had my hands on to have a close look at. But as I was putting this back to being a telephone and taking the lamp parts off, I suddenly realised that they'd used these